We have three amazing panelists today. We're going to begin with Lisi Papazzi, who's the Manager of Heritage Appreciation, Nunavut Parks and Special Places Division. She lives in Iqaluit. She has led and taught at dozens of land-based programs and cultural activities across Nunavut, advises on incorporating Inuit Qaimaqtaqangit into programming, and has a deep connection with land-based activities and her Inuit culture. In recent years, she's run youth camps with elders as co-instructors. We have Susan Ross, who's a resolution health support worker with the Gwich'in Tribal Council Wellness Department. Susan's responsible for coordinating all of the land-based programs that GTC runs in the region, and she also is a community advisor with the NWT On the Land Collaborative Fund, which you'll be able to hear more about later on in the week. And Mary Maje is a Casca elder with the Ross River Dene Council. She was born in Pelly Lakes, Yukon, and is a member of the Casca Crow clan. She is a strong, passionate voice in the community when it comes to women's issues, governance, and maintaining the Casca way of life. Mary sets an example to those around her by endorsing and spreading the traditional Casca knowledge that has been passed down to her. We're going to begin with Lisi.
Ulako, good morning. I'm going to do my presentation in two languages, one in English and one in Inuktitut, so I'll probably jump back and forth. Ulako, Lisi Papazzi yung akalumiutaw yung ukalima lang makalunati to ama Inuktitut, so ilani ko kalunati to lunga Inuktitut lunga hatalang miyunga. I work for Territorial Parks with Government of Nunavut. And my job is to promote parks and the Inuit culture. So I get paid to have fun. So I do a lot of on-the-land programming. I work for the Arctic College in Nunavut with the Environmental Tech Program where we have out on the land programming. And I work for Parks Canada and we did a little bit of on-the-land programming. Government kuno awatilagay kuno ama awatilagay kuni inuni ela makutuni nuna mo awla ko jahata si mami yugo ama sila tu sabi me environment to me awla jahata niku miyunga ama mangusubi me government kuno kana jahata law si mami yunga. So when I got asked to talk about culture, it was really hard to pin it down because I could talk about so many things. But what I'm going to focus on youth camps. Having youth out on the camp. So apagayaw ga madabunga ukalamaga to koyorlunga nalu na bitlo simayo inu go pekusina no ukalamaga na konga isimata kamata kanwali ukalimala ma so ukalimana tunga makutuni. So we've run with the Territorial Parks. We've done a couple of, more than a couple out on the land programming. And we've used elders as co-instructors. The first camp we've done, because I grew up respecting elders, and I grew up not questioning them and not telling them what to do. So just kind of imagine the first time running a camp with elders. I had a real hard time in the beginning telling elders what to teach. Or you know, so we knew what we wanted to teach, but to be very specific ideas, how to teach it, what to teach, when to teach. So in Inuktitut. So mengusubi tako makuti tawunga mengusubi mo tilatigo naluwi tilo sama yung akane inuto kane atugesa how yimagalwato inuto kai pigunak tuilnya titigunok teba pero titaw ni kulunga inuto kane okaw dia hatta ngilunga ilinya tawgalene okaw dia madain kalau inuto kane ma how yimalunga ilinya gelene so naluwi tilo sama yung atane inuto ka So one of the things I learned, what I found out working with youth and out on the land is that working with elders right in the beginning, kind of brainstorming, what do you think we should teach them? what's the best way, and you know, there are some days you really have to work around the elders, like totally on, and the weather, totally on their time. Inuto kanaya hatahatunga kaudia labi utilau semayunga takua inuto kaya atutugi ilaniku sila ko yulu atutugu sila misa atutugu takua inuto kaya atukalawatugi naluna bi utilau semayu kanu ilnyatit na mga ta kanu sunami ilnyatit na mga talu tana iliguti bi utilau semaya kaubano. So in the end, how we did it was like we used some of the elders on very like Inuktitut, traditional plant collection. And so what I ended up doing was finding out what the elders wanted to teach. That was the first step. And then because I've taught in colleges before, so what I did was, this is what the elders wanted to teach kind of in that area. So I took the science part and added. You know, they wanted to learn wayfinding, so I did the basic GPS course. The elder wanted to do traditional plant uses, so I did kind of the Arctic adaptation and some of the chemistry behind plants. So we kind of really combined it that way, which was really good. So, mako inuto kaya ato kalo kauye kalo sama yung akano ilinya titug mga mata makisuni kauye lao tunga ilinya titini ko hata ma ekalo ne tako ilinya titug mapate inushui misano GPS laga mo ilinya titala bunga ama ilinya titug mapata perutu kano nalay nagaya hata ni mga ta kano perutu ato to hata ni mga ta ama ilinna titilaga bunga tatsuma perotu kanui mga kanga perolosug mga mako halunati tu ili tawatu. So that's how it was. Then it got to the point where, because I've taught before, curriculum base compared to traditional base. They're very, very different. Curriculum base is very in a box. Like, this is what you teach. This is how you teach it. Make sure you achieve this goal, this goal, this goal, and you kind of check mark it. That, to me, is curriculum. And then we go to traditional knowledge, which is totally, totally different. It's not. Some part of it could be curriculum, but it doesn't match. What I found, it didn't match the curriculum outline. Just the way of teaching is totally different. You know, when we go to teach in the class, it's structured. Whereas in custom, it's all based on observation, traditionally. And then having to tell the elder who has been teaching for years based on observation, and there I'm telling them, well, we should teach them this and this and this and this kind of like, and it's very two different styles of teaching, I found it. And having to work with the two is, you just have to find this common ground and work with that. Ilinyatitilunga, ilinyatitiyohatalunga, iliseyimili, ilinatumili, mako pigeli, ilitaugeli, akitaugeli, mako piyakitaugeli, ilinyabi miteme mata. Kisyanili, inui pekusingana ajigingimao, ajigingitanga tana, inui pekusinga mako, inui pekusinga tigo, ilakataniku watakunatuta, apersoluan nata, mako ajigingitanga tamaki. So ilnya gasulo sama yung akano mako ajigingini ilnya tiga so hatta talaga bugo. Tema kisya ni piguna los mayugo. So the last camp we did it all in Inuktitut. Most of it, I say about 85% was done all in Inuktitut. We had some youth that had difficulty speaking, but they were highly encouraged among the elders and the staff to all speak. It didn't matter, to me, it didn't matter what they were learning. The matter of the fact was they spoke their first language. And that, I don't care what they learned really, but they spoke, that was the highlight. That has been, of all the camps that I've done, that's been the highlight for me. It's about pride. It's about teaching youth the pride. You know, when they speak in Inuktitut or do activities related to that, you give them encouragement. You encourage them, you appreciate them. And they, in return, what I found, the older kids were mentoring towards the end of the camps, that we've had like 5-day camps. Towards the end of the camp, the older kids were mentoring the younger kids. And that's a take home. That to me was like accomplishment, to see that and them mentoring the Inuit language, them mentoring the Inuit way. Ataw siya makutun ni tawo nga mangosubo mo jiluta ataw siya Inuktitut na pilok magata iluna ti palo Inuktitut makua kaudya los mayunga inuntukan na atu kalwatuta makutu ilang Inuktitut tiaw natit ukota hatalotabo Inuktitut gaso hatalotit kaudya los mayunga tako Inuktitut na tiang kalwakata mako ang inursay ikayo hatay los mayu mikiyutini kano Inuktitut kagesa tana uban no pinapago si mayu kanu sali yung ito nga siya na may ligawa mga tada kasi Inuktitut nga tatana kubegid lagay los mayaka ta Inuktitut tema Inuktitut yung napalotu tama mako ang yuti ikayo hatalotuti miki nukan ni tana ta uban na kubegid lagay si mamiyaka. And one more point that I want to make is that when we're, the other thing I learned about using elders is we had one time a real older elder who spoke the traditional Inuktitut language, and then we have a younger elder who spoke kind of modernized Inuktitut language. So whenever the older elder was talking, the youth didn't really pay attention. But for me, it was really interesting because I could understand everything he was saying. But I found the youth weren't really paying attention, so I kind of started thinking, okay, what's the missing link here? Why aren't the youth following this older Inuk elder? And I realized it was communication. You know, the youth today, even though if they spoke in Inuktitut, they didn't necessarily understand the older generation Inuktitut language. And then whenever we had the younger elder who spoke modernized Inuktitut, the kids were like all over him, like paying attention. So again, it was back to speaking to the elder and kind of going, okay, let's find a way to simplify the Inuktitut for the kids. And then, so that was one thing I learned about out on the land program. Daba kaudya losi mami yung mako inuto kaw na se ukalimalot ge mata makutu ilan ikutu sawa yung mata watu saga lotu titu kusewa yung mata amalo tana inuto kaw na sa amalo tana makutu na sa inuto ka ukalimalagay ma inuto ajigi yung maut tako makut tako so si tusana sa hatali yuit tana inutukaw ng naksamo. Inutitun nga ajigi yung imaw tasmo inutukaw inutitun nga. Tako kaudya lawit los ma yung makutuit. Tusabi nga hatawi tana inutukaw ng naksamo. Tana ukaw sing ajiging inutitun nga ajiging imaw. So kaudya kanuto hatay los ma yung tana inutukaw kakawalawatugo. Kasi tana inutukaw kautilatugo. Mako Inuktitut ni makutuil ni tukusya ngitya ila tukusya galwatutit tukusiangin na sa ulang ata inutitunya si jigero nakayun. So that kind of in a nutshell of the programming that we have done. I just want to go through some of the slides here. That's one of the parks that we've done. There's a polar bear fence around it, so that's one of the ideal locations that we've had camps. Next picture. Oh, okay, next picture. So that was the older, next picture, you'll see next picture. Oh, yeah, so the elders are talking about the Inukshuks and that. He was the older elder compared to the younger guy, and I'll show you the younger guy in a minute. Next picture. Oh, here's the younger guy, and you see the kids, the boys all over. And we had camps. At one time, we had boys' camp and a girls' camp one year, totally different camps, and they had totally different agenda. Inuto kapalugala ba inuto kauluang ito tako ang uti tusala kayo ataw siya nuna mo dilos mayugo ang nanit ang natunanit ang uti tunanit. And then one of the fishing locations, that's one of the things that we also did with the fishing part. If you go next slide. Oh, that's playing games. They were. And then we also did some Arctic sampling, which I've done in the past. So we were able to combine what parts of the fish, traditional usage, and then the scientific part, how to measure fish, how to weigh it. So tanata ekalumisano ili utaw hata yumiyo kano ekaluatu to hata na mga ata kisu mga ata tingin ama ubang ilinya talaga bunga kano ekaluatu to na mga ata makuha okumening kanu takiyu mga ata tamako imamu talaga kuno ilinya watui. Next slide. So that's where we were sampling fish. And GPSU sana kumoti tayo natutunit. Next slide. That was one of the elders out up in the mountains, hills. Next slide. Next one. Here's a traditional plant use, the Bapilotun Kamayu. Next one. Next. And that's me doing the traditional rock uses within the parks. So tako kamamini mako uyaka atuto hatan tumini te mailinya titilos mamiyigo. Oh, that's just setting up camp. Next slide. Next. Oh, that's when they were shooting. Everybody totally loved shooting. So this is plant, I believe. Next slide. We also, aside from the camps, we do some programming like traditional plant use. So tako ilang ini mengusubi kuni ilnya kita hatam yugo mako pekutui kanu atuto hatan mga ata. Next. Ama kanu kulli atuto hatan mga ata ilnya kita hatam yugo, and we also teach how to use a shio oil lamp and what to use. We call that the holik. Okay, this is with the college kids. Next slide. At the park. Another holik oil lamp. Next slide. Oh, another one. We take them out clam digging. This one of the ways that we also done with that part is about traditional drying fish. Even though to me it seems really simple, but there's a lot of people that don't know how to dry fish. So dapat pisilog namo ilinya tita hatas mamiyo kanu pisilog sa isimayo gawat nga pisilog na tunayo ba teme ningin biyo. Next slide. So with some of the programming, I learned using community members whenever we can. So here's one person, one of the community members, just helping out whenever he did. So ikaw takakata si mama yung nunalamiyon tema pilirelreeta. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, one of the things that we also do is about traditional rock uses. Even though they may do setting up a fox trap using rocks, it's really hard work. You know, trying to put rocks at the bottom. I'm trying to make them stand, and to think the fox is not going to come out, so it's a fox trap. Those are really hard to make, believe it or not. Tirana mo mikigelo hatta na gasho hatta ni kuma yugo pulla ninlu tako kanu juya kalwatu tin kishane piyaga tu yuglu pigas sanagesa tema tu nongin miyu. Next slide. And kanu ululu hatta ni mangata savilo hatta ni mangata tema ilnya tita hatta ni kuma yugo. This one is how to make traditional ulus, the woman's knife, and a knife, and using what they used to use. We tried to, with the tools that they were using, they were kind of like old tools that they used to use years ago to make ulus and knives. Next slide. Next slide, these are some of the Inuit games we were playing. Next slide. We've had traditional bannock making, tako plauralo ng makuli mo atotuni, with the kulik at the bottom, the oil lamp. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so kind of, it's really hard to talk about the youth camps that we've done, all in 10, 15 minutes. Ilani ko kano kalimagumana sa gulotuni kishen 10 minutes tuna hatuni 15 minutes tuna hatuni ila miki yo me okodi guna tongatana pilere hatani kubo. If you have any questions, koyena mi abekoti sakarwe apire guna tuti.
Good morning. Sorry, but I have a cold here. So, my name is Susan Ross. I work with the Gwich'in Tribal Council as a resolution health support worker. I've been in this position for 5 years. We first started our On the Land program, I'd say almost 4 years ago. We do community visits, and part of the community visits was going back out on the land, doing a lot of healing programs, focusing on life skills, parenting, youth, middle age, and elder programs. So we got funding from the GNWT Health and Social Services to run a 2-year project for On the Land. So we hosted 6-day On the Land programs in each of the 4 Gwich'in communities around the Inuvik area, which is the Klavik, Fort McPherson, Sigichik, and Inuvik. We utilize our elders to oversee these projects, as well as middle age and youth to mentor under the elders. The successes are our youth that are going into these positions to facilitate some of the On the Land programs that they are mentored through our elders. Sorry, I don't even have my notes. Okay. Can I just go down here just so I could? I'm sorry I did this last minute as it's year end and we're busy with our year end funding. So, in Aklavik, the first project that we had 2 years ago, we had 19 participants attend a 6-day On the Land program, probably about 5 kilometers outside of Inuvik. We utilized Eddie Greenland's camp, and it's accessible by boat in the summer and ice road in the winter. We went out during the winter months. Fort McPherson, we went up to Midway Lake, which is about a half an hour ride on the Dempster Highway. And it's a small little campsite where they also have a festival every year. So there we had 15 participants, and we did caribou harvesting, dry fish making, and dry meat making. Sigichik, we did a safety program. They did survival skills with the youth out at their program. And with Inuvik, we focused on a healing program where we held it out at Sarah and Freddie Jerome's camp with residential survivors and family members. I'm not sure if I'm... Oops. Okay. Some of our discussions is how we can work together to improve our community wellness. When we first started the On the Land programs, we did up an agenda. And then when we got out to the On the Land programs, we decided that we don't need an agenda. We're going back out on the land to learn to live, survive, learn our culture and our traditions. And that's how we learned when we were growing up, and we didn't have an agenda. So they scrapped that and just said, we'll do what we have to do every day. One of the things that we also did out there was we utilized a lot of our community resources like health and social services, mental health workers, community health reps, and talked about mental health issues. We did communication, lateral violence, and one of the things that we really work on is grief and forgiveness, and as well as healing. We also do a lot of fun evening activities, learning how to communicate, build trust, and just learning to laugh. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Thank you. Okay. So these are some of the pictures that we did in the Aklavik. They also learned to make bread. One of the youth up there that's one of her mentors, communicating, which was very hard for that elder, just learning to talk and to laugh. And as you can see, they're dancing up there. So we did a lot of communication work in the corner over there. The lady down here was learning them how to cut moose, cut the moose head. Here's some more. They did some dry meat making. This is a picture of our participants. Lots of laughter. Fort McPherson, like I mentioned, we did dry meat, dry fish making, storytelling, and connecting back out on the land. And they also did some traditional medicine plants as well. Like I mentioned, we received funding from GNWT Health and Social Services. Like we mentioned, work with other community agencies in the community to provide assistance. We utilize a lot of our GTC staff to assist with our projects. And that's my presentation. Thank you. Oh.
Good morning. My name is Mary Maja, and I come from Ross River, Yukon. I'm a Kaska, and I just want to thank the Dera people for allowing me to speak on their land. This is a picture of Francis Lake where we do a lot of our learning and our teachings. And in our Kaska tradition, we always thank, wherever we're speaking, we thank that group of people for allowing us to speak on their land. So many of our elders have teachings, and it's up to us now to have those teachings passed along to those that want to learn, whether you're Kaska or not. Some of the teachings that come from our old people, we always say a prayer. We say God's name, Medurita, means nothing can't go over. That's what it means. And that the highest code of our land, we say Tena Otnizin. They go like this. Tena Otnizin means respect. Respect for the people, respect for the animals, respect for the land. All these are our connections. We have unsurrendered territory, 96,600 square miles of land, the largest tract of land in North America. And we are the caretakers. God left us this land to take care of it. We don't own it, but Medurita knows these lands are kept so that we could survive by it. The Art Aboriginal Women's Society was formed back in 1998. And we had a comprehensive healing program. And it was called Guniatsi Nzerdali. Let's go back to the land. We had Western and traditional healing programs because for those that come to teach us, and for those that come to learn with us, and we had peer support programs among the 5 Kaska communities. There's Fort Ware. We have Lower Post, Good Hope Lake, Watson Lake, Ross River. We really had a lot of fun with our language. In the Yukon, the language was developed by a language group formed from the YTG, and those were learned in the schools. But many of us, we couldn't read the language. We can speak the language, but from day one, they were teaching, say, from K to grade 12, the same words from K to grade 12, and they weren't learning it because they weren't speaking what was written down, and they pronounce it a little bit different. So we had high tanning, and high tanning was losing its art. And traditionally, the men would hunt. We were taught the role of for men and the role for women. And out of these high tannings, the men made a frame for moose skin boat. The women fleshed the hides, sewed it together, gathered the pitch, and the men launched it. It could hold 3 moose and a family of 5. So there's many things you can do with hides. You can make clothing, make moccasins. Among the Casca, the women used to have a contest, see who could decorate their men the best. Even their dog teams were decorated. Dog blankets they made, dog boots, all of those. But it's been doormat for so long, it's hard to return to that. And we had youth retreats. Kids used to come out, they had fun. We have hand games, and everybody smiled when they had these games. It was usually in the springtime. It's a renewal time for us in the spring. And as you can see, it's a caribou hides that do that drums made. That's how the drums are made. But if you had beaver skin to cover the a beaver skin for your drum, that's only for yourself. Nobody's allowed to touch that because it's meant for prayer. And the young people, they were happy to make their own regalia. So they have a lot of sense of pride that's brought back to them through making their traditional regalia. And as we speak, it was fun times too to be together and to do endless things we can do as Dena. We have Youth for Safety and Justice. The youth engage in power to end violence against women and girls. And it took a lot of pride for the boys because one day they're going to turn into men. They have a pride that they're going to grow and not do violence. And the girls will as well. So a lot of the traditions we have too, living out in the camp life, like you see our little friend, the mice, they're really pesty when they come into your camp. So what we do, we get Irish Spring soap, cut them up, leave them around so they don't come in. For ants, you just get flour, put it all around. They don't come into your camp too. So little things like that. And our old people, they talk about the Big Dipper. You see the Big Dipper? The North Star? That points to the north. You can find your way home by that, even at night. So when the daylight is short and it gets dark with you when you're out in the land, that North Star will bring you home. And the Big Dipper, if it's totally upside down, if you look at it, totally upside down, that's midnight. You can tell time by that. That's at 10 o'clock. We have 13 moons. Each new moon it starts a new calendar. The big moon is the end of the month, so there's 13. We have names for all of them. So we say Ata Cho is March month, is when the eagles return. March 10, they come back. But because of climate change, some of them don't go back anymore. And they live year-round. Some of the ducks are not going south anymore. Our one elder said, "Oh, I live at Francis Lake when I was young. When I was a little boy growing up, the sun come up right there every day. Now I grow old, I come back, the sun come up way down there. That's why things have changed," he said. It's just remarkable when you're observing on the land and things to do. But our land, we survive by it. You make the snowshoes, you have a camp snowshoes, and a hunter snowshoes. You make that in the fall. You can't make snowshoes in the spring because they say that you call the winter. You call the winter, we tried it once. We say, "Oh, we're gonna have snowshoe working workshop out in the land." So we did that. The first night we were there, it hit minus 43. And wow, we didn't do that again. So some of those things that really close to the heart, and many teachings yet to come. We must tell one another these stories so we could survive as Dena in the North. And I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you all for those fantastic presentations. We have a couple of minutes left because we've managed to get back on schedule. So we can open the floor to questions if anyone has any follow-up for any of the presenters. Anyone have a burning question? I think it's really interesting to hear in this panel from all three territories and how there's elements of culture that are unique, of course, in each of those places, but so much similarity in the pieces of it. And I think for anyone who works on organizing these programs, it's an interesting balance, because when you're applying for funding and working with all of those systems, you need to have the agenda and you need to have the plan. And then, of course, as soon as you get on the land, you need to ignore all of those things and go with a different schedule. So I thought you captured that really beautifully. I think we're going to take that as the wisdom that came out of the morning also. So we're back on track, and you guys are going to get to be first in line for lunch, which will be a key lesson for everyone else who stays in the main room for panels, I think. Before I wrap, does anyone have any? Yes, Norman.
Thank you for sharing your experience and your stories of the programs that you're doing. I know that the On the Land programs are very unique and very, very new for some of our young people. And it's quite different from the classrooms, or as the lady said, from Nunavut, the different curriculum. You're actually designing your own, but it's always been there and just tapping into the elders' lifestyle of learning. So I guess my question is twofold. One is, what's the long-term strategy of the programs you're doing now? And do we have to be doing on the land programs more than maybe once or twice a year? You know, for the people, the young people especially, to really get it And, you know, that's something I'm thinking about right now.
Thank you, Norman.
Well, for our project, when we think of strategies, we incorporate a lot of those into our work plans for each of our different departments. And I think it's important because in order for a youth to better understand some of the culture and identity that they lost, they need to be mentored by our elders in order to regain that knowledge. And as for one or two programs, I think it'll be at each of the communities level for what best suits each community, because each community is different but similar in a lot of the programs that we do offer. And I think trying to regain our culture is a valuable thing that we all need to learn, no matter at what age, whether you're a youth, even an elder. So, you know, just regaining a lot of what they had lost in residential school and incorporating it back into their life. Thank you.
If I could add to that a bit about the 1 or 2 year program, out on the land program, we've had that question quite a few times. And one of the things that we've started last several years is have, over the summer, have 1 day a week summer program at the park related to IQ. It's not the same as going out on the land, but we do have once a week, every Tuesday afternoon at the park, we have some sort of traditional program. And that continues throughout the whole. And we bring youth during the springtime. We try and target all, because our community is pretty small, and we can get all the grades if we wanted to. So we, in the springtime, when the schools they have what we call the Inuit Kauyama Tukangni days, when they go out for a day. So we target those days with the school. We try and do a program, either a day or two when they're out. Not creating anything new, but we focus on what's already happening. What are the schools doing? What are the youth doing? So we figure that out, and then we work with that. So we'll approach the schools and say, we can do this, we can do that. So that it's not really going out on the land for 5 days, but it helps.
Well, the schools do their own programming, and they get their own resources to do that. And with Liard Aboriginal Women's Society, it's always driven by proposal. So it kind of rushed to our computers about November and see what kind of programs are there, and a lot of times they're different. Every program for on the land, you want to get language or something, they're different. And they call for partnerships a lot of time, and that makes it really difficult. So especially for languages, and they got to have PhD and all that behind their name. So it's pretty hard to get our own elder resource in there, because they call for these. So that's what makes it really difficult.
How I justify that, because I've had so many conversations with my manager, is that I present it as the elders are like scientists. They grew up monitoring the environment. They grew up every single day, and I write it down. And to me, since they're constantly monitoring the environment, constantly seeing the changes, to me, they're elders. They're scientists. They don't have a piece of paper, but they're way more than a person with master's, a person with doctor's degree. So I work really hard on justifying that to my manager, is the use of elders and paying them a much higher price than what our government pays them. Because they are elders. They've taught. From the day they were born, they're taught to monitor. And to me, that's what scientists are. That's what biologists are. So I tried doing it that way. It might work.
There are professors.
Hello, my name's Colleen. I just flew in from Alaska yesterday with my coworker Bertha. It took us about 8 hours of flying time and a lot of sitting in Calgary for a delayed flight. But back to the question, we face a lot of the same challenges back at home with our youth and loss of language and a lot of cultural activities. We have a lot of culture camps. Right now there's a immersion language program. It's going to be piloted in one of our communities through the organization that we work with and work for. We do have a lot of culture camps like you guys for our youth, including language and putting away fish, hunting birds, traditional ways of knowing the weather, a lot of different things. Right now I work for the Queer Cultural Center, and so a lot of the, and it's the first cultural center in our region ever, and I feel so honored to work there. It is such a privilege and honor. So we have a lot of demands on our program. We don't even have policies in place, but we're already having demands on educational programs for culture, and I'm the curator for educational programs. So everywhere I go and I listen to Indigenous people, I'm getting ideas too. And you want something to say?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for your presentation.
I just want to add that, you know, even though the schools do have offer on-the-land programs, a lot of them back home up in the Beaufort region, they offer a one-day on-the-land program, and that's just going out on the land. They're not getting the full experience, and I think we're going out for more than just a day is going to help that youth learn some of the skills that they need to live out on the land. And I think life skills is a really important way to do. We're right now just wrapping up a life skills project for high-risk youth in each of the communities that we have back home. And they were about 5-6 weeks long. The largest group is in Aklavik. We have 22 participants, and they're on their second week for life skills. So that's something that's being offered for youth between the ages of 15 to 30. And then we're going to be looking at funding for middle-aged adults, which they would like to see something like that offered, is life skills. So I think that's really important as one of the aspects for going back out on the land.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap this session up, and if you'd like to continue the conversation, please find one of the ladies over the lunch break and have a one-on-one with them. So if you'll join me in thanking Lisi and Susan and Mary for their presentations.